All right, let's just jump right in. If you're looking for a job right now, you know this feeling. It is stressful, it's overwhelming, and honestly, the advice you get seems to pull you in two completely different directions at the same time. Today, we're going to tear apart that contradiction, what we're calling the 75% paradox, and give you a clear, actionable plan for the modern job search.
And here it is, the paradox in a nutshell. On one hand, you're told to spend weeks, maybe even months, on just mountains of paperwork and preparation. But then you look at the actual data, and it shows that a whopping 3/4 of all jobs are filled through human connection. So what gives? Why is everyone telling you to do one thing when success clearly comes from something else entirely?
And this really gets to the heart of it, captured perfectly by this quote. All that detailed, exhaustive prep work, that's your map. But the reality of the job market, the messy, human, relationship-driven world, that's the terrain. And way too many job seekers get completely lost because they're just staring at their map instead of learning how to actually navigate the world around them.
So how do we solve this thing? Well, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. First, we'll really define the paradox. Then, we'll dig into that massive 50-hour preparation map. After that, we'll uncover the hidden job market, figure out how to survive the digital gauntlet, and finally, show you how all that prep becomes the secret fuel for your networking.
Okay, so let's really frame this up. The central conflict in your job search is basically a mystery. Why are you told to become this master of paperwork, perfectly documenting your entire life, when the prize, the actual job, is almost always won through a conversation, a referral, a simple human connection? Let's find out.
Our investigation starts with the map, that is, the absolutely huge administrative burden that gets dropped on job seekers. We're going to deconstruct the sheer scale of the prep work that official sources tell you is non-negotiable before you even think about applying for a single role.
And when I say scale, I mean it's just staggering. We're not talking about a couple of articles here. We're talking about official guides from places like Capital Area Michigan Works. You stack it all up and you are looking at a literal wall of documents, 445 pages of mandatory homework, forms, and self-assessments. It's a lot.
Now let's translate those pages into what it actually costs you. Time. The advice is to treat your job search like a full-time job, right? Well, if you do that, just getting through this initial homework is estimated to take somewhere between 37 and 50 hours. That's up to 2 full weeks of work before you've even sent out a single application. It's a massive investment right at the start. So what on earth are you doing for 50 hours? It is some seriously deep intellectual labor. You're filling out what feels like 100 different forms. You have to sort all of your skills into 3 different buckets: your personality skills, or adaptive skills, your portable, transferable skills, and your technical, job-related skills. You even have to answer these deep philosophical questions, like the Uncle Harry inheritance, which basically asks what you do with 20 million bucks to figure out what you're really passionate about.
So, why all this intensity? Well, the philosophy behind it is captured perfectly by Seneca. This 50-hour deep dive, it's not meant to be busy work. It's designed to build such a deep understanding of yourself that when an opportunity, any opportunity at all pops up, you are instantly ready to grab it with total confidence. It's about manufacturing your own luck.
Okay, so we've got our perfectly crafted map. Now it's time to pivot to the real terrain. And this is where the paradox really just explodes. We're going to look at the world of the hidden job market, which, it turns out, is where the vast majority of jobs actually live.
And here is the disconnect, plain as day. A staggering 65%, that's nearly 2/3, of all job openings are never publicly advertised. They're not on LinkedIn, they're not on Indeed, they're not even on the company's career page. They exist, but they are totally hidden from view, accessible only through other channels. So how do these jobs, both the hidden and the advertised ones, actually get filled? This is the most important part. A full 75% of all jobs are landed through networking. Through referrals, introductions, and direct human contact. You are 5 times more likely to get hired if someone who already works at the company refers you. Human connection isn't just a factor, it's the dominant force in the entire market. And this timeline shows you why networking is so powerful. Most jobs get filled right here, in stage 2. The job is real, but the company is only asking its own trusted employees for referrals. This is the sweet spot. They only go to stage 3, posting the job publicly, if they can't find anyone good. By that point, you're competing with what the source material calls the thundering horde.
So let's say you do end up competing with that horde in the smaller 35% visible market. Well, even there, the terrain is treacherous.
You've got to survive what we're calling the digital gauntlet, which is a series of modern traps that can get you disqualified in an instant.
The first obstacle is the robot at the gate. See, most big companies use something called an applicant tracking system, or ATS, to scan resumes. And this creates a two-resume reality. You need one beautiful, well-designed version for human eyes, and a second stripped-down, plain text version that's stuffed with the exact keywords from the job description, just so the machine doesn't accidentally throw it in the trash.
And if you manage to get past the robot, then you face the human investigators. Nearly half of employers are checking your social media, and up to 95%, almost all of them, are Googling you. They're doing a credibility check. Does the person they see online match the professional on paper? Like it or not, your digital footprint has become an unofficial part of your application.
This quote from James Baldwin just perfectly captures the mindset of a modern hiring manager. They can't just believe the words you wrote on your resume anymore, because now they can see what you do online. All those scattered posts and pictures and comments are seen as the unfiltered truth of who you are, and they will trust that way more than a perfectly polished document. Okay, so we've got this massive preparation map on one side, and a human-focused terrain that seems to ignore it on the other. Now it's time for the resolution. This is the aha moment, where we discover that these two worlds that seem to contradict each other are in fact deeply, deeply connected. See, the true purpose of those 50 hours of prep isn't the paperwork itself. It's about building a powerful language of accomplishment. All that intense self-analysis forces you to stop talking about your vague duties and start talking about concrete, quantifiable results. It gives you the vocabulary to explain your value confidently and instantly in any conversation with another human being. And the perfect tool for this is something called the GIST card. Think of it as a mini resume on a 3x5 index card. It boils down all 50 hours of your prep into 5 key points: your objective, your top skills, your quantified results, a quick background summary, and your key personality traits. It is the ultimate leave-behind for any networking conversation you have.
So, the secret here is this. Networking is a common thing. Everybody knows they should be doing it. But the secret to success is to do it uncommonly well. And how do you do that? You show up to those conversations armed with the confidence, the clarity, and that language of accomplishment that you built during all that prep. That's what makes you stand out from the crowd.
So, the ultimate strategy becomes crystal clear. You have to do the prep work. You've got to build your story and find your language. But you cannot get lost there. Once that foundation is solid, you must pivot, aggressively and completely, to consistent, active human engagement. Use the map to get ready, but spend your time actually navigating the terrain. And that leaves us with one final question for you to really think about. Take an honest look at your own job search. Are you spending all your precious time endlessly perfecting the map, tweaking documents for that 35% of the market? Or are you out there confidently navigating the human terrain where 75% of the real opportunities are actually waiting?